Phoebe Lisle is a bubbly, kind 15-year-old who has battled mental illness her entire life. She's honored to be a part of This Is My Brave and to be a leader in the movement towards acceptance of mental illness. Phoebe is very good with young children and intends to become an elementary school teacher. Please welcome Phoebe.
When I was little, everyone always told me that my dreams would come true. There was one term to that statement that no one mentioned to me. There I was, yet again, in my psychiatrist's office. We seemed to be going through the same routine. Mom said what was different that week. The doctor says the options. The doctor wrote a script for yet another medication, and then we left, same as every other visit. We drove over to the Walgreens, an almost daily occurrence at the time, and filled my new script, Seroquel. I took the pill that night, and I felt fine. Let me correct that, relatively fine. At the time, I was in the middle of 8th grade, and I could not sleep. I had night terrors every night, which was one of the main reasons I was supposed to start on this new medicine. The other reason was I was anxious to the point of having panic attacks every day, where I could barely breathe and would be stuttering and feel like I was dying. There's a reason they're called panic attacks. This miraculous medicine was supposed to stop them too. For the first few days, nothing changed, which was expected, as the medicine had to get into my system. Then the 5th morning when I woke up, something was different. I couldn't pinpoint exactly what was different, but maybe it was that I had less night terrors that night, but I wasn't the same. I thought to myself hesitantly, maybe this is a better different. Maybe the constant worry will take a break, or the panic attacks will stop. Maybe I finally found the right combination of medicines, and this foreign feeling is what it's like to be normal. I was way too optimistic. I went to school that morning, and by the end of the first block, I'd had 2 panic attacks, more than I typically had in one day at the time. Then my case manager, Miss Inquist, suggested I write in my journal, knowing it had helped in the past. Uncharacteristically of myself, the page was filled in less than 5 minutes. Normally, it took at least 10 minutes to coax me into writing one sentence. It was almost as if someone had taken my hand and written the whole page for me. I read them, and it wasn't like anything else I'd written in my journal. It was really sad and really angry, and it wasn't even written in my own handwriting. The scariest part, I didn't even remember writing any of what was on the page, let alone thinking it. The voice came second block. It was the guy from my night terrors, the guy who had not stopped by the night before. He whispered in my ear with his scratchy, almost drunken voice, "I've got a gun." No, he could not. No, this could not. No, you're not real. How could you be here? I panicked to myself inside my head. I slowly and carefully turned around to where he should have been, directly leaning behind my left ear. No one. He wasn't there. What just happened? I wondered, still recovering from that scare. I sat paranoid in class for the rest of the block and the last 2 blocks. I went home and the voice came back. This time he laughed an evil snicker and told me about the matches he planned on lighting in my family's rooms. I did not sleep the whole night. Instead, I was constantly checking that the green light was on every single fire alarm in the entire house until my parents confined me to my room. I did not let my eyes off my smoke detector, and I left my door open so I could smell smoke if our house did catch on fire. The next day, I went to school without any sleep, as I had to protect my house and my family. I made it through 1 block with the man's voice filling my ears. And then I saw him. He was following me down the hallway. I started to run to Miss Inquist's room, but by the time I got there, I was in tears. I told her what had happened, and my mom had to pick me up, and Miss Inquist suggested that I go back to the psychiatrist's office before I came back to school. We called the doctor, with no response from her after multiple messages, and well over 24 hours had gone by. I was begging, you heard me, begging, to be hospitalized. I remember 3 other distinct voices besides the man, along with having constant indistinct muttering in my mind. We finally called the emergency line for the psychiatrist, and she told my parents and I, "You should have gone to the ER. It's not bothered me." It was at that point that we changed psychiatrists. We later found out the reasons for all the voices. First, I was experiencing withdrawal side effects from stopping my former medication abruptly, under her advice. Second, I had not been weaned onto the Seroquel. I was given the full dose, again at the doctor's advice, immediately. And third, I was given a dose that, according to my new psychiatrist, was way too high for any child. I learned on my own what I had been told when I was little. Dreams do come true, but nightmares can be dreams too. This experience nearly sent me over the edge. I had already been barely managing living with bipolar, anxiety, depression, and honestly just fitting in. This incident was my breaking point. I know that some people would think breaking is a bad thing, as if you can't be this fixed or be the same afterwards. But when I broke, I will admit I was not the same. I was different, but not necessarily in a bad way. You see, breaking is similar to a starfish losing a limb. I know that sounds crazy, but just hear me out. When a starfish loses a limb, it grows a new one back. The starfish does not have the same exact limb, but it works, it can live, and it probably learned a lesson or two in the process. I am the same and a different person compared to the day I broke. I am the same kind, bubbly, unique Phoebe I was then, although I am different. Since that day, I've learned how strong and brave I truly am. Breaking does cause you to change. It hurts like hell in the moment, but more often than not, you learn how amazing you are in the process of recovering.